I just clicked live, so let me see if this thing's going live now.
He got a DUI and he had to travel for work all the time, and he like got like all this stuff done with the lawyer so he could like go.
Yeah.
And he literally got on a plane to Canada.
He drove, Greg, so he got stuck at the border driving.
Well, he got stuck at the airport and then right on a flight back.
Oh, wow, that's even worse.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be there for work, like at a meeting, and like.
All right, I think I'm live. Let me see. All right, yeah, I think it's working. All right, guys, let me give you a rundown. People will be signing in a second, but let me run down what we're going to talk about real quick today. First thing is Linn Bailey responded to these accusations that people were saying something about her and Rob and also her sponsorship with Redcon. She finally announced it. I know I'm late to the party, but I want to talk to you guys about this. And Fouad went on Hani Rambod's podcast recently and said some very, very interesting things about the athletes that just left, Justin and Nathan Eplar. So I want to talk about what he had to say about them. Brett Wilkins update. Brett's preparing for the Olympia. So I want to talk about how he's looking. He's already qualified. James Hollingshead put up a photo comparing his prep for his offseason. I want to talk about that with you guys and like what the big differences is like between an offseason physique and a pre-contest physique. Logan Franklin put an update up, and Keon Pearson's guest posing, which I never had a chance to talk about. So I want to talk about it with you guys today because Keon looks like a front runner for this 212 title this year, and Keon looks awesome. I really like Keon as a person, and I think he's going to do really well this year now that he's pushing himself. So let's get a couple more people in here, wait another 2 minutes, and then we can get things rolling here. Let me pull up the clip of Dana first. Talk about this Dana situation and also her announcement with Redcon 1 being her new sponsor. And I told you guys, a couple weeks before this was announced that I heard, through my sources that she was going to go to Redcon. And it seems like they are going to go ahead and do that, and they're dissolving that company that they had, the supplement company, which this was the second time they tried to launch that supplement company. It did not end up working out. But it is what it is, but I'm just very curious to what they're going to do with Dana now at Redcon, considering Redcon really doesn't have any athletes at all. I mean, they have Kai, and that's it. But Kai obviously is not as popular as he used to be. So, and really all they use Kai for is what I noticed is like demos at stores. They throw him in some videos here and there. And that's really it. So I'm curious to see what they do with Dana. Like if this is all they're going to do with Dana, I don't know how this is going to help her or her career. Maybe it was worth the money for her to do this. Maybe they have bigger plans for Redcon 1. But if I was Dana, I'd probably be a little more hesitant about signing with Redcon 1, especially with the direction they've been going in. And because they're not really on the map anymore. I mean, people know who Redcon 1 is, but they definitely don't have the same attention as they used to their brand. And I don't think people respect them as a brand as much as they used to compared to what they were. And Dana obviously has had a lot of success in fitness, bodybuilding, competing, but I just don't know what this is going to do for her and her career at this point. I think she needed to go to a brand that could like bring her up, level her up, that can bring her back to being more popular, more relevant, because I think that's what she needs, because now she's in a different demographic. She's older. She's not aspiring the same audience anymore. Like before, she had this huge influence on this younger generation of women that women looked up to her. There was like this empowerment and her like doing these divisions and winning the first women's physique division at the Olympia. Now she doesn't compete, so it's like, what are people really looking up to? Yeah, she puts out workout content. Yeah, she's just a great personality. She seems like she's a lot of fun, but she's not doing the appearances at expos. She's not going to shows. She's not really in the fitness industry anymore. She's online in the fitness industry, but she's not like going to expos and showing face like she used to. Her and Rob used to drive to pretty much every show, and that was what made Dana so popular, if you ask me. That's why this girl's come up was so strong, because they literally were everywhere. They drove from one weekend to another show. Like that's literally all they did was go show to show to show, and they were always on the road meeting people. And that's why she has the following she has today, because she made that human interaction in real life. And I think that's what really catapulted her. But the supplement company and Flagner Fail obviously was a part of it. But I think the main reason Dana was so successful is because of her competing. And she was one of the first girls to kind of like put herself out there and be transparent and show her struggles, her highs, her lows. And I think that's why people were so infatuated with her and they could relate to her, and they saw like, like, wow, women do this too. It's not just men. But now every girl is an influencer. I mean, there's a lot of fitness influencers that are women that are more popular than her. And I think now she's got to like change directions a little bit if she wants to stay relevant. So Redcon 1, I'm going to show you guys here. They have been using her very very sparingly on their Instagram, Redcon. I mean, like here and there you have a post with her. And obviously all these photos and videos were clipped the same day because she's wearing the same outfits, the same gym setting, the same everything. So they obviously took a whole bunch of content when she flew there. And now they're just releasing it slowly, which is fine. But this is what they do with Kai. And I just don't think this is going to help Dana in any way. I don't think her and Rob are struggling for the next paycheck by any means. So it's like, what was the purpose of this? Unless Redcon 1 has this huge, huge plan, which I don't think they do because I have a pretty good insight on what they're doing and not doing. I don't know what they're going to do with her. I mean, her doing store appearances at like GNC and Vitamin Shop and like Walmart or wherever she's going to go is not going to help Dana's career out. That's not going to make her more relevant. And I just don't think if she showed up to an event, she would obviously still have an audience, but nowhere near what she did. And maybe Redcon 1 will come out of this. I mean, I hope they do, because it's nice having big brands like this to support the athletes. I think it's good for the sport. I'm not against that at all. And I know Aaron, as much as I don't like him as a person, I think he did well and did a lot of good stuff for bodybuilding, supporting these athletes. But that's as far as his good goes. Like right there, it stops. And maybe he's trying to do it again. Maybe he's trying to recreate this brand and make it more relevant again and get these athletes sponsorships. But it doesn't look like it from a business sense, because their products aren't what they used to be and their likeness isn't what it used to be. I almost feel like he should just like ditch Redcon 1, start something new. I think he should start from scratch with something new. I don't know if that would even benefit him at this point, because his reputation has been obviously so tainted with all the stuff that he's done. But maybe he sits in the back, has someone else be running the company, like as far as face value goes. So maybe he's like out of the limelight so people don't realize it's his brand or something. But I think Redcon 1 needs to make a move and either like sink it or go all in and try to make a change. But I don't think they can change this company no matter who they sign. I know that's probably why they tried to sign Dana's, because they're trying to change the image and bring it back, make it more popular. But I don't think Dana has that type of star power anymore. I think that has sailed. And I think if Redcon 1 wants to come out of this, they need to find someone that's more relevant and more in tune with like the younger audience. I mean, Dana's probably in her 40s now. I'm going to be 36. I know she's a few years older than me. She might be 40 or 39, but a girl in her 20s is not going to be looking up to Dana as much as they used to. So, but her and Rob did a workout video, which I thought was a little bizarre. It was a little cringe. It was called Back Together. And basically in the video, if you guys watch it, which I'm not going to play the whole thing here because that'd be boring, but if you guys watch this video, they are basically taking shots at what I said in my video, talking about how they don't work out anymore and how a lot of people notice, and this is not just me, everyone's noticed that there's been a lot more distance between the two because these guys were attached at their hip, and that's fine if they're not sharing it on social media, they're being more private. But when I started to dig around, I found out this was like more true than it really kind of looks, actually, because they actually were growing apart and there was some differences between them, but that's not really for here, and it's not really, doesn't make a difference. But I don't know. I just don't see them weathering this storm with what I know about this whole situation. And I think maybe they're trying to put a front on just to kind of hold on to what they do have. And it might work out, it might not. They have a lot of history together. They started dating like in college, and they've been together ever since. And relationships in the fitness industry, if you're both in the fitness industry, is it's super hard to keep up with. And you rarely see relationships last in this industry when people are both in it, and it's very hard. But hopefully it works out for them, and I hope Dana figures out what she wants to do. I feel like she's probably a little lost at this point, trying to figure out what she wants to do. And we'll see how it works out with Redcon 1 and Kai Green. I think if Kai and her, this is my final note on it, if they start doing some stuff together, it might be able to pop off. It might. Especially online, if they do some cool viral content together. I think it might work out. But we'll have to wait and see how the fans respond to it, because that's really all that matters. If the fans want it, we'll know. If the fans don't care about it, we'll know. Like, we're going to see immediately if people are going to follow along with what Dana and Kai are going to do at this point. But let's talk about what Fouad had to say about his athletes that just left Hostile Nutrition, Justin and Nathan. And I'm sure you guys, if you guys didn't see my stream yesterday, I talked about Justin's response to this whole thing that went public, talking about the contract, stating that he never signed the 5-year contract. He only signed a 2-year contract. And that video that Fouad put out was prematurely put out. He didn't sign the contract at that point. And he wanted to clear the air on a lot of things, which I think that was a really good move by Justin's part to clear the air on that and stand up for himself. He needs to do these type of things. And people are only going to respect him more if he does those things going forward. But I want to play this clip of Fouad talking about Justin and Nathan, because this is a present day situation. And the way Hani asked this question about Justin and Nathan, you can tell Fouad is talking about this situation only. He's not talking about anything else. So I'm not speculating. I'm going to play the clip. You guys are going to hear it. So listen.
That you sponsor, and Justin and Nate. And you just made an announcement on social media a couple of days ago about it, about their parting. And there has been some talk about, like, hey, you brought in quite a bit of athletes that come in, come out. I mean, specifically about this situation, is it kind of in line with everything else, or were these two outliers? And is there a reason why they both happen at the same time?
So they're both a little different.
Okay.
Nate's contract came to an end.
Okay.
And what he's saying about Nathan, I'm going to tell you right now, is 100% true. I'm not too worried about what he said about Nathan, obviously, but what he said about Justin is interesting.
I don't like to get into too much detail on this stuff, but I won't go too far into it. I guess what I'll say is Nate's contract had 2 years on it.
Okay.
Or actually, it was a 1 year. We signed him. He wasn't being paid by anybody. He was just kind of out there. So I'm like, come on board.
I don't want to get too far into it, Fouad said, but he basically says the guy was a nobody and I saved him.
Pay you. Took him on. First year went by. Everything was good. Second year came around. I'm like, okay, maybe we should make some changes to the team. So I won't go.
Oh, shit. I just clicked fucking off. Sorry, guys.
Specifically about this.
For me now.
Ben Pekulski? Were these?
I won't go too far into it. I guess what I'll say is Nate's contract had 2 years on it.
Okay.
Or actually, it was a 1 year. We signed him. He wasn't being paid by anybody. He was just kind of out there. So I'm like, come on board. We'll pay you. Took him on. First year went by. Everything was good. Second year came around. I'm like, okay, maybe we should make some changes to the team. So I'm like, I told Ben is our athlete manager.
Mm-hmm.
I said to Ben
Pekulski?
yeah.
You like that? You're like, now he works for me. The guy that told me he had a green tan, he works
It's a bad joke, but they're going to continue right after this. Here we go.
for me now.
No, Ben Chow.
Okay.
So I said to Ben, look, he's got like a month and a half left on his contract. Maybe you should let him know now.
Okay.
Because, I want him to be able to find another sponsor and, get along, just move along and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we let him know. He wasn't very happy about it, but I was like, look, it's just business. It's numbers. It's not personal. We love you. Everything you've done for us is great. We just kind of have to shrink the team a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I verified this. It's true.
So that was it. It was kind of the thing, right? And then Justin happened like a week after. Justin kind of let me know kind of a week after that he just wasn't happy. So
now, if you guys understand how this works, all these guys talk to each other. This wasn't let me say this as nice as possible. There's a reason these things happen at the same time. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to continue playing the clip.
When Justin told me, I was like, okay, well, that opens up a little bit of money in the budget. So I called Nate back and I said, are you interested in staying on? We have a little bit of room in the budget. And Nate said, no, I think I'm going to move on. And I said,
now, would you stay there after your boss just fired you? Or would you go back and be like, oh yeah, I'll take the money? No, you're not going to go back.
I said, okay, so that's fine. So Nate, his contract basically ended, and that was us kind of letting him do his own thing. With Justin, we have a lot of obligations. If you want to be a hostile app.
All right, so now this is where things get very insulting to Justin, and he set it up as if he's talking about Justin's situation. This is not me putting words in his mouth. Just listen. He said, Justin's situation is blah, 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 blah. And he's going to explain the things that he requires as an owner of Hostile Supplements. And he's going to explain basically the things that he has expectations for as far as athletes go. And he's going to basically say that Justin doesn't do any of these things. And I'm going to give you guys my opinion on that in a second.
Athlete, we have a lot of work. Like, you have to do YouTube videos. You have to post on social media. You have to come to events. You have to stand at a booth. I'm old school, man. Look, like.
All right. So if anyone follows the sport and follows Hostile, follow Justin, if you're watching this, you more than likely know that Justin did the podcast. Justin was at every event for Hostile. Justin also did content. If you go on Fouad's app or YouTube and you look up Justin Shier, there is endless. There's probably more videos of Justin than there is anyone else on the team. So Justin, obviously, this is just factual. This is proof. It's right there for you guys to check. So Fouad's trying to say the reason Justin wants to leave is because it's too much work. He's not be able to keep up with it. Now, mind you, Justin also manages his own businesses aside all this. He has his medicinal farm for his weed. He has his gym. He has his weed business where his storefront. He sells the medicinal weed. And he's also able to do all this stuff that Fouad requires as a sponsor. And from what I know, information-wise, source-wise, I know that this is all factual. Like, Justin's never had an issue with doing any of the work. So why would Fouad say this is the reason why Justin wants to leave?
I don't know the way companies are doing things now. You have a company,
Yeah.
I don't know how you do things at Eva Gym with your athletes. I was an athlete. I remember doing videos for Flex Online for free.
Yeah.
And I did them.
All right, so I want to skip to the next part now where they just ramble for a little bit. And now this is where it gets really juicy here.
Percent.
Like,
There would
they
be
would take
100 plus pages of just ads.
Yeah. They would take out like a 10-page section, and there would be a number of them to find these people and get to know them. So my
Here we go.
perspective on it is, I'm giving you a platform to be known. We are a new company. You will reciprocate that love. And we also want you to build your own brand, but we have to build our brand at the same time. We're giving you the platform to grow. We're giving you the money that you're asking for. We expect something in return for our company. So I think maybe Hostile asks more than other companies. I don't care.
So he's basically saying, read between the lines here, that Justin didn't fulfill his obligations in the contract. And that's why Justin and him are not seeing eye to eye. Justin doesn't want to do it. He's not willing to work hard. But you guys know how hard Justin works. If you follow Justin, you know how hard this guy works. He does his full-time career, and he also balances bodybuilding. He has his wife. He has his home. He's building a house. Like, the guy does a million things. He's the last bodybuilder on the planet you could say that doesn't work hard or doesn't want to earn his keep at Hostile or wherever he is. This guy kills himself to be able to keep up with doing all these things. And you don't even have to know Justin. You don't even talk to Justin. You just watch him online. You know what this guy is doing, and you can see the amount of hard work he puts into this. He is not the guy that's sitting on the couch collecting a paycheck as a bodybuilder. He's the furthest thing from that.
Because I know what athletes do all day.
Mhm.
I know what these guys are doing all day. I know if I'm paying for a videographer, all that guy has to do is show up for his regular workout.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything extra. Just show up, and do your workout and let this guy film you. That's it. Right. So it's like,
now, I don't know anything about the situation, but it sounds like he just named a particular situation that happened with Justin. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like Fouad put a lot of thought into that one, and it looks like that was something that happened. Maybe Fouad hired a videographer, it didn't show up, Justin didn't show up, or there was a disagreement, maybe there was an issue at the time. But it's a lot more than just, hey, get off your couch and go film this video and then go back to your couch and be a bodybuilder. I'm paying you what you want. Shut up. Like, that is not how this should work. And that's not the things that Fouad should be saying right now about an athlete that he called a good friend, a best friend, my boy. We're super close. These are a lot of insults thrown at Justin. I mean, if I'm Justin and I watch this, I'd be pretty upset. I mean, I would be pretty upset, very upset.
I know what people are capable of and what they're not capable of. And if I'm asking too much, then that's fine. If that's the reputation that Hostile gets, I'm okay with that. This is how my company is going to run. I'm not soft on athletes. I totally understand. Like, I don't expect them to travel when they're 6 weeks out from a show or like, but I understand that side of it as well. But there are certain things that I know can and should be done. And I won't kind of change my mind about it. So anyway,
I personally would love to hear the things that Justin was not willing to do or not capable of doing or regret or refused to do as an athlete, because I don't think there is anything as far as I know what I found out. And I feel like there's a lot more to this story, but I'm not going to open that can of worms because it's not my business to do that. And if they want to talk about that themselves, that's fine. But I'm telling you, if I'm Justin and Fouad supposedly calls me his boy, he just put me on blast on Hani Rambod's podcast, basically saying that I'm not able or willing to do this work, the videos, the show up to the shows and do content and promote the brand. And meanwhile, Justin's done everything above and beyond for them. I'd be pretty insulted. I mean, this is a pretty big shot at Justin's character, if you ask me. This is a lot more than just like, oh, he didn't fulfill his obligations. Like, Fouad went in on him here. And listen, all Fouad had to say was like, Justin went above and beyond for our brand. He did everything I asked, but things just didn't work out. Like, he could just left it at that and no one would have batted an eye at it. But instead, Fouad went there with it. No one forced him to go there with it. And I'm just telling you guys exactly what he said here. I mean, he said it himself. Like, he said, Justin, maybe there was too many obligations for him. It was too much. He couldn't handle it. But it's just not the truth, guys. And I think this is the problem. This is why there's so much drama around contracts and sponsors and athletes, because people like to disrespect your name and your reputation. You have to defend yourself. And if you don't defend yourself, now other brands are going to watch this. They're going to see this and go, oh, we're not going to sign Justin Shier. He's lazy, according to Fouad. And if you don't say anything, you don't speak up for yourself, no one's going to know any different. They're going to assume that's what happened because you never stood up for yourself. So you have to speak up nowadays. You have to bring attention to this and awareness to it if it's not the truth. And that's why there is so many people interested in it, because people probably can't believe what Fouad is saying. People probably don't believe it. And that's why people are so invested in this and wait, what happened with Justin now? And Nathan and Nick Walker and Brett Wilkin and all these other guys? Nathan Diasha, there's a list. There's obviously a common denominator in why all these guys keep leaving, because they're unhappy. Like I told you guys in the first video, and there's something wrong with going on at Hostile with contracts, obligations. People aren't happy, or else all these athletes would stay there. It's not about the hard work, because if you look at any of these athletes, and I said this on my first video, I'm going to say it one more time, and we're going to move on. Nathan, Brett, Nick, Justin, Nathan Epler, all these guys, Justin Mackey, every one of these guys is a business owner, either has a family, has kids, has a job outside of being a bodybuilder, and they all work their asses off outside the sport. Nick Walker's the only one that doesn't have any of those things, but Nick Walker's work ethic is second to none, and Nick takes this very serious, more serious than anyone. So you can't even sit there and say Nick is not willing to do the work. Nick does all the work. Nick might have some little certain little things that he likes to do and not do, but that's fine. But Nick Walker is one of the best athletes in the world. You kind of have to suck it up for that guy. But every one of these guys that walked away is a hard worker, and they all bust their ass for whatever they do. They have a gym, they have a business, they have a family they're supporting. They're all willing to go above and beyond. So you can't say that these guys that you were not able to keep as an athlete at your company aren't hard workers. We're not talking about lazy bodybuilders here. So that's the one thing that I think about when Fouad says that his obligations are just too much for these guys and they can't handle it, because there's no way that's true, because all these guys work their asses off. So that's my final word on that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Logan Franklin real quick. Now, I haven't talked much about Classic Physique, but Logan put this update up. And obviously, you guys know he did not make it to his last show because of whatever happened at the hospital. You know, he didn't feel good. He never made it to the stage. And now he's coaching himself. But when I saw this photo of him, I was like, is the guy working out? Like, is he off? Like, what is he doing? Because this doesn't look like typical Logan Franklin's physique. He looks extremely downsized compared to what he usually looks like. And, you know, maybe he is off. Maybe he is like trying to heal himself up still. But I thought he was prepping for a show, but maybe I'm misunderstood. But you guys tell me what you think about him, because I think Logan, as I said before, has a lot of potential. But if he doesn't lock this down soon and start to really push himself and really start to, let's see, exceed expectations, I don't know how much more time he's going to have on his side to be able to do this, because the time's running out. I mean, look at him here. This is not an off-season look where I'm like, oh, wow, Logan Franklin looks amazing in his off-season. I mean, like I said, maybe he might be cleaning himself out still, but I was under the impression he was doing a show soon, like Texas or something coming up, New York Pro. I don't know, one of these shows, but he's had so many chances now to prove himself on that stage as a Classic Physique competitor, and I just have not seen him really like turn up that knob and make big changes. He's made changes, but not enough. And his back is still going to hold him back. His arms are still going to hold him back. Certain poses are still super weak, where he's not going to be able to have top 5 at the Olympia or Arnold. There's no way he's beating those guys. Those guys are phenomenal athletes. And Logan's really good, but he just hasn't hit his full potential yet. And like I said, these photos don't make me feel good about the direction he's going in. Yeah, it looks awesome when you're by yourself, like the front double with the vacuum, but the arms look down in size and they weren't that big before. The chest, very flat. Yeah, he's got a good waist, good lats, good legs, but the things that are still weak, the things that were weak are still weak, if not going backwards a little bit. And you can even see in the comments, everyone thinks this. This is not just me. Things don't look right on him. And maybe, like I said, he might not be pushing it. Maybe it was just a theory that he was doing a show sooner than later, but a little interesting to see like that update and not be that impressed, especially months and months after the last show he did. He should be cleaned out by now and off to his off season, but we'll see what happens. But I'll pay attention to it and I'll keep you guys updated. Let's talk about Keon's guest posing real quick, because I didn't have a chance to talk about this when he did it. I know I'm like a week behind, but I want to give Keon some time here because he looks absolutely insane in this guest posing. This reminds me of Derek at the Pittsburgh show last year when he came out for a guest posing, and everyone was like, what the F? Like, what the fuck? I forgot I can curse on Rumble. What the fuck? What is this? Like, I think Keon might have the best front shots ever in the most recent years of bodybuilding. Like, his front double, front lat is it's one of the best shapes I've ever seen. Like, the way his waist is just like super small. His lats are super thick and wide. He's not narrow. He's got super, super round muscle bellies, chest, shoulders, arms, legs. Like, he might have the best front double that I've been alive for in my lifetime. That's how crazy his front double is. And I think if Keon can nail this conditioning with Patrick Tor, it is fucking game over for everyone in the 212, if you ask me. No one in the 212 is going to be able to stick with him. Nobody. And I think if Keon can just bring it one time and put that hammer down, it's going to help his confidence so much. I mean, so much. mean, is that not the most aesthetic, mass, freaky front double you've ever seen? Like, it is phenomenal looking, this front double. Phenomenal. Like, man, he is on track to do some serious fucking damage. He's got no weak points. Even his back looks good. The only thing he has to do is get that skin super saran wrap thin, get that conditioning etched, and it's game over. He's going to dominate 212. And Keon's that good. He's that proportion. He's that big. He's that freaky. I think Keon could hang in an open show. I'm not going to say the Olympia. That's a little too far ahead right now. But if Keon could dominate in 212 the next year or two, and he decides to do an open show, there's no reason why he can't do what Sean Clarita did and Derek Lunsford did. He's that good. He might even be better than them once we see him on that stage next to these open guys. Yes, I know he's smaller in structure, statue, but Keon has so much muscle per square inch. He has some of the craziest shape, and he can pose, which none of these open guys can do. There's two guys I could say that could pose. And the one guy that poses really well, Sergio, can't even do a show right now because he's stuck in Dubai still. So it's crazy. Keon has the whole package. Look at him here. I mean, just look at this physique, guys. He doesn't need to be 250 on stage to beat you. This is like a Sean Ray in 2023. And I hate to bring up Sean Ray, but this is like a 2023 version of him. This is like a transformed Sean Ray on a lot of juice. I'm not saying Keon's on a lot of juice, but you know what I'm saying. It's a new version of that because he's shorter, but he has so much muscle per square inch. He has great symmetry. He's got great lines. There's nothing to flaw on Keon's physique. Nothing. And as long as he gets in shape, he's going to do extremely well. I mean, extremely well. He does not need to be a mass monster to beat these guys in the open class. I think it's only a matter of time until Keon nails that conditioning. And once he nails that conditioning, he's going to have the confidence to do it again. And that is when he's going to really take off, is when he has that confidence. When he has that confidence, it's over. And that's all you need. Once you have the confidence, you can do it again. You can do it again. You can do it again because you did it once. Like, man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I'm excited for him. I really am excited for him. I can't wait to see him on that stage this year. I hope he gets to Olympia and does the damage that he's supposed to do. I hope he's able to do it again and again and again. I really hope to see Keon out there in the open show one day. I really do. Let's talk about James Hollingshead's post real quick. Well, actually, I don't know if this was James's post. Forgive me. Let me make sure this was his post. I saw this post, and it was a good comparison of James. Actually, it wasn't James's post. I apologize. So sorry, James. It was a post about James. Oh, sorry. It was Team Worldwide, Ejej Worldwide. I don't know. Some Instagram page. But he wrote, Olympia cutting version versus current bulking. I think no difference between the both pictures. What do you think about? So he's showing James full off season and James on stage shredded. Okay. And now this guy is saying there's not much difference. I have to disagree because the goal is, I'll just show you the picture first. So I keep forgetting to do this. I'm using this whole live stream thing, guys. I think the biggest difference is the thinness of the skin and obviously the body fat, and that's going to determine that conditioning. Now, is there a huge difference between James on stage and here? Technically, no, but if you're up close, I guarantee there's a pretty good difference, significant difference if you saw James there versus off-season, especially in the back, the hams, the glutes. I'm sure there's a big difference, the hardness. You're going to see a big difference if you're up close. You might not see it in the photos, but there is a big difference in the skin, the texture, the water, the body fat composition, the way the muscle is pushing against the skin. There is a big difference. These are photos that are taken not in the best light. So, yeah, I think if you saw them up close, you definitely agree that these guys are very different. But the goal is to bring what's on the right as much as you can on the left without losing any size. And I think James did a really good job at doing that. So I want to give him I can't talk today. I want to applaud him for being able to do that, because that is the goal. The goal is to get on stage as big and freaky as possible as you were in the offseason and just take that body fat off, not lose much muscle throughout the prep when you're cutting, and get on stage as full and big as possible and shredded. And James did that right here. I mean, this is a good sign to me that, hey, I did my prep really well last year. I didn't lose any size or muscle or fullness. And that tells me I can push a little bit harder now, because look how big I was on stage. Look how good I looked. And if James knows what he did last year to get in shape, he should be able to push a little bit harder, 10%, 15% more, whatever it is, percentage he wants to do it. And he should be able to get in that razor conditioning. And yes, you're going to lose a little bit of that muscle. You're going to lose a little bit of that pop. You're not going to be able to look identical to how you looked in the offseason. That's virtually impossible. No one does that. Even Ronnie Coleman's, Jay Cutler, Phil Heaths don't do that. You have to sacrifice some size to get in condition. That's just what it is. That's the process. There's no other way around it. But I think now that James was able to accomplish that, achieve that on stage, he now knows he has more room to give in order to get in the best possible shape for the show. And that's what it's all about. It's about pushing just a little bit each time, setting that bar a little bit further each time so you can get there and eventually achieve what the goal is, to be shredded on stage in your absolute biggest weight, freakiest size. And he's right there. Like, he's literally right there. Last thing, Brett Wilkin. I just want to talk about his update real quick. Nothing crazy, but because Brett's not competing anytime soon. He's doing the Olympia. But I thought this was a really cool transformation. Seeing Brett, what he used to look like just fucking couple of years ago. This is probably 3-4 years ago. I mean, look at Brett here. This is fucking wild shit. Here he is on the right now. It's honestly pretty crazy though, because it literally is the same guy, just a lot bigger. It's the same physique. He had huge arms back then. He has the same legs, the same shape to his legs, the same waist. Same lats, face a little different. His head got a little bit bigger. But Brett looks really good here. I mean, really, really good. And I'm looking forward to see how Brett does this Olympia, this lineup with another year under his belt. He qualified early. He qualified last year at the end of the season at the last show. Well, actually, excuse me. He qualified last year, and it was the last show of the year to qualify for 2023. So that's how Brett got in so early. And now he could just focus all year on preparing for the Olympia. But yeah, I thought that was a very interesting transformation photo I wanted to show you of Brett, because he was so small. Brett, I think, did men's physique, then classic physique, or maybe just classic physique. I forget. But he was definitely classic physique before he got into bodybuilding, which is crazy. And he did that transformation in just a couple year time, which is mind-blowing to me. Super mind-blowing to me. But hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. Don't forget that all these live streams are sponsored by Old School Labs. Use my code NickBS and Alpha Elite Athletics. If you guys go to Alpha Elite and pick up anything, you guys can use NickBS as well and save on your order. And as always, guys, thank you for all the support that you guys have shown me through this hard time. And I hope to have answers again really soon. I'm working on it. Trust me. Either way, we're not going to stop. We'll be here on Rumble, Patreon. Patreon will have my members only section. If you guys want to pick up the membership there, you get educational content, training content. My transformation content's going to be in there. I'm going to show you everything, full transparency, the drugs, the food, daily vlogging, all on Patreon. And yeah, find me on Instagram, Bodybuilding and BS. I'll see you guys soon.